Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Vantage Point. I'm your host, Lisa Hamilton. This afternoon we're here with representatives of the Guyana National Youth Council, GNYC. The GNYC is a non-governmental network organization of youth and an amalgamation of various youth representative groups. Here we have with us here today President of the GNYC, Dr. Quacy Grant, and GNYC Projects Coordinator, Adrian Alfred. Thanks for being here today. And first of all, as we get into our interview, we want you to tell the viewers a bit about yourselves and how you got into the GNYC. You can begin with you, Dr. Grant.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for having us this midday. So, as was introduced, my name is Quacy Grant. With all the beard and the gray hair, I'm still a youth. I'm 34 years old, and that's a criteria to be part of the Guyana National Youth Council. You have to be a youth as defined by our national youth policy, which is from 13 years to 35. I joined the council in 2018, and then I was asked to run for one of the positions on the exec, in which I did and made my pitch, and I'm here as the president of the exec council. It has been a very interesting experience. I've been in youth work since I was 13, 14, started in church, then it evolved into being a part of Guyana and being a part of Rotaract. So I've always been involved in youth work. And I think that my position or my role at this stage as I'm phasing out of youth is to mentor young people to take up the positions on the youth council. So that's how I see myself now, as an older youth mentoring younger youth.
Okay, and that's what we need.
Seasoned youth. Let's not say older, oldest one. So,
and you, Mr. Alfred, how did you come to be a part of GNYC?
So initially I was part of the original founding members of GNYC. However, for various reasons, as Dr. Rand said, allowing others to take up that mantle, I took a step back in terms of my activities in the project, the council, because of the fact that I also had other youth engagements that I was involved in. I was part of the CARICOM Youth Ambassador Corps as CARICOM Youth Ambassador for Guyana. I was also part of the Commonwealth Youth Peace Environment Network, SAIPAN, as country coordinator. My journey in youth work started in my second year of university, I would say, as I joined the UGIA, University Guyana International Affairs Association, which opened so many doors and steered me into the direction of youth and youth development, which is a passion of mine now.
Okay. And I know I would have just given a bit of a synopsis about the GNYC, but can we go deeper into the mandate of the council?
Well, so we have four pillars now in which we operate around. The first pillar is youth advocacy. So we work along with the Department of Youth to ensure that, for example, they have wide consultations that feed into their national youth policy. Most recently, we've helped the Department of Youth to develop an action plan for the national youth policy, because policy documents usually are left in a cabinet or on someone's desk.
But they require consultation.
Right, the required consultation needs an action plan that tells you the activities for the upcoming years and how you're going to achieve those activities. So we assisted the Department of Youth through our network of partner organizations to hold consultations to develop or to strengthen that action plan. Then we have youth in the electoral process, and so that's why the Guyana National Youth Council, one of its flagship project is the Civic and Voter Education Project, and we've been doing this historically since 2015 for the general and regional elections, and now we're here again. So we want to educate primarily, but not limited to young people on their rights and responsibilities in the voting cycle and the electoral process. Then we have youth in governance. We have our members who participate in youth parliament. This year, two of our execs participated. Last year we had members who participated to get a feel on what it is to be in parliament, what the roles and responsibilities as members of the opposition or ministers of governments or MPs and so on, to prepare them for any leadership roles that they would have in the future if they want to head down into the arena of politics. Then we have another pillar, fiscal space. We help not seasoned, not younger, not seasoned non-government organizations, NGOs, who want to go out on their own and maybe have a grant to manage a project. We provide that space for them to do that. And one such organization we're working with is the Migrant Support Network. We're in a partnership with United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, to provide legal and basic emergency services to returning Guyanese from Venezuela or Venezuelans coming to Guyana. So the Migrant Support Network, their role is more operational, while we provide oversight to this project. So as Migrant Support Network is building their capacity as an organization, we're helping them along that way. So those are basically the pillars in which we work around our mandate. Our mandate primarily is to the youth of Guyana, and those are the pillars in which we work under.
Okay, and how many organizations are part of the GNYC, and how can an organization become a part of the GNYC?
Currently we have over 10, 15 partner organizations, and it's a simple process. We're not very bureaucratic in our selection. Once you express an interest to be a partner organization, even an individual member, you just reach out to us via our Facebook page. We have a sign-up sheet, and you sign up there and you become a member. You become a part of our WhatsApp group network, and you'll be informed of our upcoming activities, upcoming events, in which you can, based on your interest, because not all young people are interested in everything. So we usually update all our members via our WhatsApp network, and then they choose what activities they want to get involved in.
Okay, when it comes to individuals, what does that number look like, if you can give an average?
Oh, individual is over 300.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's large.
Yes,
compared to some other
large to manage,
organizations.
yes.
Yes. And you're not only Georgetown based, but they are GNYC chairpersons in various regions. Can you tell us a bit about how they interact with you as president and the other heads on the council?
Yes, Lisa. Let me first mention that this executive committee that was formed is the first executive committee. So from 2018, we were revisiting our governance structure as a council. And I heard you mention chairpersons. We were hoping to have, when we had the election cycle for the council, chairpersons for the different regions, but it didn't materialize as yet. So what we've discovered that we have to continue to work with what we call regional representatives or regional focal points from across Guyana, all 10 administrative regions. And we're hoping to build their capacity so that they can become regional chairpersons, and then we can have regional youth councils. Because I'm of the opinion you can have a national youth council if you don't have regional youth councils.
True.
If we were to take Guyana, the geographical scope of Guyana, and take it in that context. So that's one of my passion, one of the things that I look forward to do as president of the Guyana National Youth Council, to ensure that we move from having regional reps to maybe have chairpersons, and if it's possible, because my tenure is just 2 years, regional youth councils.
Okay. And Mr. Alfred, the GNYC recently, as recent as Sunday, as yesterday, launched its Ink It Up, Your Voice, Your Vote campaign. We know this is not the first time that GNYC would have been involved in the voter education campaign. But you were involved in 2015 as well.
Yes,
but can you tell us a bit about what's the difference between the 2 years? What can we expect this year round?
So the difference from 2015 to now, I would say resources available to us. You can expect more visibility in terms of our social media presence, our presence on radio, print media, any form of media basically. You can expect a larger presence. We will also have a larger physical presence in terms of reaching all administrative regions. Yesterday we had our launch, as you mentioned, but also over the weekend we had our trainer of trainers activities, and this activity was to basically train a cadre of skilled youth who will be able to deliver our message of voter education throughout the 10 administrative regions of Guyana.
And you would have sent out a release yesterday that just gave us a sneak peek of some of the activities that we can expect, such as Voters Village, which will take place at various marketplace, bus parks, shopping malls, games and mini talks. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to mention, but we can see that these activities are primarily geared towards youths and getting them, interested and involved in the campaign.
Well, as Dr. Grant said earlier, it's not just geared towards youth. We cater for various cross-sections of society, women, the physically impaired, with persons with disabilities. We cater for indigenous community, everybody basically. I have learned that, in voter education, there is no specific age limit or group in targeting persons, because I've met persons at the age of 53 that have never voted or taken part in an election process, and have convinced those persons to go there and vote. To give you a little bit more about what we plan on doing, you mentioned most of it, but the thing is we will have mock polling sessions, to familiarize those persons who are now eligible to vote, who are uncomfortable with the process and don't want to vote because of that, fear of the voting process, to make them a bit comfortable so that they know that there's nothing to fear, there's no sort of influence that can be put on them, because of the fact that they are the ones who, at the end of the day, know their vote that is cast, whoever they vote for. Nobody could tell them who to vote for. Nobody's with them in the polling station at the ballot booth when they cast that vote.
It's their choice.
It's their choice, basically.
And this will be done in the 10 administrative regions?
Yeah, the aim is to be present in all 10 administrative regions during various points in this month up to the 29th of February. After 29th of February, there will be no voter education campaign due to GCOM regulations. So we'll be present and active in and around Region 4 and outside as well.
And we know that your message won't be geared towards voting for any particular political party. But around elections time, Guyanese tend to get a little bit more skeptical about certain things. You mentioned training, and within this training, you would have taught persons in this regard that they must remain non-partial.
So, as mentioned, again, we must reiterate the fact that GNYC is a non-partisan organization. All our members are asked to, and at various points have signed on to non-partisan agreements where they specifically agree to not in any way or form publicly or openly support any political party, and that message that message to support any political party shall not be put forward on behalf of GNYC or in relation to any activity of the council.
Okay. And what about the materials? Being that you're collaborating with GCOM, we can expect that they will be vetting the materials you use.
So yes, GCOM will be vetting the material, and basically the material that we'll be putting out there is just a reflection of what GCOM has. It's just that it would be a more youth-friendly, engaging component or aspect of it. Because what we find is a lot of young people don't read, their attention span is not that, you know. So in order to get their attention, it must be catchy, it must be colorful, so it must be simple to understand. So that's the approach that we're taking in terms of our messaging.
Okay, and Dr. Grant, how is all of this being financed? Because persons may be questioning, they don't know about the GNYC. How are you able to do this?
Okay, so thanks to the US government, we're able to get a sub-award to finance this project. It's over 90,000 US. So it's a sizable amount that we have to spend in a short space of time. But we have the activities, we have the personnel on board, and we're enthusiastic and passionate. And we're not hoping, we're expected to deliver based on all the technical and financial resources that are going into the project. So it's the United States Agency for International Development that is financing a large component of this sub-award. And it's through the institute, the International Republican Institute. They provide technical and they allocate the resources from the US government.
And you would have mentioned, Mr. Alfred, persons with disabilities. I particularly like to focus on that because elections after elections, we hear the Persons with Disability Council mentioning that they don't have the right to vote independently. We know there's proxy voting, but persons who are visually challenged or have a hearing disability, you know, they believe that measures can be put in place to allow them to vote. Mr. Ganesh Singh, I don't know if you know him, he has suggested a means for persons who are visually impaired to vote on elections day. Does the GNYC also advocate for the Guyana Elections Commission to take certain aspects like these into consideration?
Well, yeah, it's something that should be looked into. We do plan on having voter education sessions with the visually impaired from the Blind Institute and other not just visually impaired or differently abled groups that are registered in and around Guyana.
So they can be able to
understand
as well the voting process.
They can be able to understand the voting process and with the systems in place, utilize those effectively to be able to cast their votes on election day.
Okay. And in your opinion, Dr. Grant, why is it important for young people not only to know how to vote, but to make this decision to vote in general and regional elections, etc.? Why is it important, you would say?
Well, I'll go back to our tagline. Our tagline is, for the Inkit campaign, is your voice, your vote, or your vote,
your vote, your voice.
Your vote, your voice. Your vote, your voice. So it's every 5 years we have a voice as a nation to select or elect the government that we want to govern us. And it is done through the ballot paper, through young people. And we know that the Guyanese population is a youthful population, it's a young population. Yeah. So young people make up the majority of Guyanese population. So young people, we determine which government goes into power. And theoretically.
Well, we should.
Yes.
So the ballot paper is how we exercise that, our franchise. And we should do it as responsible citizens of our dear land. And if we love our dear land, Guyana, we should go out on March 2 and vote.
What about some young people who feel, you know, I won't vote because, you know, I don't like any of the political parties, but I won't vote, so it doesn't matter in a sense. Would you say that they're still influenced by not voting ultimately?
Yes, that's an interesting question. There are some persons who would not decide to vote because of various reasons. And we're hoping that this project, since a lot of financial resources are going in, that will reach those who are not only undecided, but not have decided not to vote. We need to find out their reasons for not deciding to vote and try to tailor our messages around those reasons, so as to, at the end there will be what I call a behavior change. Because I'm of the firm view that not because you have a lot of communication through social media and the print media and all form of media that persons will go out and vote on March 2. We have to ensure that the messages that we send out will reach those persons who have not decided, or maybe on the fence, undecisive about voting, and reach home to them. And then we have young people who are going through some social ills. Why should I vote if I can't get a job? I'm a graduate of university. Why should I vote if I'm going through gender-based violence? How do we reach those young people who are going through a lot and are feeling disillusioned? So our messages should be tailored to them as well.
But that's exactly the reason why they should vote, because when you vote, basically you select the individual, group, whatever, who will be representing your interests, or whose interest is closely aligned to those that you have. Because at the end of the day, the persons who are elected in government to govern Guyana, they're the ones who make decisions relating to taxes or school systems, creation of jobs, all these issues. So why not vote? That's the question.
And when it comes to the point that you don't see anybody representing your interest, you can yourself become a leader, and one day, as you're training some youths to enter the National Assembly and represent a group of persons that you may see are neglected as well.
Well, eventually that can be a possibility for the young people who see that maybe their interests aren't represented currently, but that is not a reason for them to exclude themselves from the
Voting
election process. Yeah.
And also, we know that around this time, elections time, we're all Guyanese, we know about it. Racism, racial remarks, racial actions tend to flare up. But not only does it flare up, but we see that a lot of persons vote, well, there's a perception that a lot of persons vote simply motivated by race. Does the GNYC, apart from this, the ongoing campaign, does the GNYC bring a message to all Guyanese that there's more to the election process than voting for race?
Definitely. I think it was emphasized in the training that we had over the weekend.
Yeah.
When we went back to our constitution, a preamble, and it's a part that says, we, the people of Guyanese, acknowledge that the future of Guyana belongs to our young people. And we envision a society in which all races live in harmony and live in peace. So in our training sessions, in our educational sessions, we point people back to our constitution. It's there, it's written, those principles are enshrined in our constitution. And so we have to bring young people and other groups back to that our founding fathers have put together, and envision that vision that they have. And so not only at election time, but all time, we should live in harmony and peace. Of course, around election times, that's where we see the bit of suspicion and miscommunication and mistrust among the ethnic groups. And so we try to push as much as possible that you vote on the issues, that you consider the political parties, what they have to offer, how they're addressing my issue as a young person, your issue as a young person, and then you vote based on that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you need to remember that you're all neighbors, friends, co-workers, family, right? We have to interact on various levels, You can go by your neighbor, probably borrow some sugar, eat food out of their pot, right? And vice versa, And we share in not just food, but music as well, and various religious activities, So why is it that around election time we need to act in a certain way? We need to remember that we're one people. It's for the development and betterment of Guyana. So, your voting preference should not necessarily be an issue.
With how you relate to others.
Yeah, with how you relate to others.
And the GNYC has also been involved in local government elections, correct?
Yeah, we were part of the first local government election.
Yes, vote education.
Vote
education.
Yes, in that regard.
Yeah. Oh no, when I said that, it alluded to me that I was actively involved. I ran as an independent candidate.
Okay.
So I wasn't, integrally involved in our voter education campaign, but I was involved on the local government level as an independent candidate, just to get a feel of the political waters. And
okay, well, I didn't know that. Well, moving forward, as a council in general itself, will you be a part of the local government election? And, and what are your thoughts on the voter turnout for the previous local government election?
Okay, so we're involved in 2016 local government election in vote education. I think because it was the first local government after a long time, we were involved to encourage persons to turn out, go out and vote, and see this as important as the general or regional elections. So we play a pivotal role in ensuring persons are educated about the LGE, local government elections, and why they need to go. And of course, we want to continue in that trend to encourage persons, because generally persons don't see it as important as the general and regional elections. As a citizen, you should vote at our elections, whether it's local government or general or regional elections. So we want to encourage that. We've not done, for the last one in 2018, we weren't so active in vote education, so we haven't done an analysis. So I can't tell you what was the comparison between the turnout for the 2016 and 2018.
But future local government elections?
Yes, future we will.
Okay. And for the GNYC itself, the council held its own online voting, which would have, which led you to become president. Is online voting or e-voting something that you want to see in Guyana when it comes to our general and regional elections? And this goes for both of you. Because right now we're casting our ballots, but in some countries, persons are allowed to vote online or electronically. How do you see this as a possibility for Guyana?
Wow, maybe in the long term. First of all, we only have roughly 750,000 persons, a small number. And two, we have to strengthen our connectivity, internet service in all 10 regions, infrastructure, before we get there. But it's something definitely to start thinking about and start discussions on, so as we make baby steps towards there, because we're living in the 21st century, so we should start moving like that. But first we have to set our house in order, ensure that we have all the infrastructure in place, and maybe we can pilot it. I always believe in testing it on a small scale, and then before you go on a large scale or widespread.
Yeah, I would have to echo the sentiments of Dr. Grant. It is something that should be in discussion. We are a small population, and we need to take into consideration all the necessary resources that would need to be put into such a venture. Not only the infrastructure component in terms of connectivity and access to it. One of the other things too would be the relearning, the training of persons. So how you get persons to, like any process, learn how to go about. You'd have to train personnel. So you need to take all that into consideration, but it is something that we need to start discussing now rather than later, I would say.
Okay. We're hopeful, but we understand that it takes a lot to get something like this done in Guyana. Are there any challenges that the GNYC faces that it's working to overcome? We know that you're a council being run by youths. I'm not sure how it is on the day-to-day, but are there any challenges you care to highlight that you're working on addressing?
Yeah, there are always challenges. That's life. Life is about challenges and success. We just have to do as our SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, regularly and see how we can work on our weaknesses, work on our challenges, maximize our strengths, look for those opportunities and look for those things that are threats, see how we can avoid them or mitigate any risk in it. One of the challenges, as I mentioned earlier, is since we're a National Youth Council, is maintaining the interests of persons from across the administrative regions in Guyana. That's a challenge, so that we maintain that national scope in our mandate. And so ensure that they're always engaged, they're always updated, they're always interested, to manage their expectations and so on. And as I said, to move from having just regional reps or regional focal points to having chairpersons and actually regional councils. That's quite a challenge because it requires a lot of resources, human and financial and so on. So we're working to have that. That's one of my passions as president, and I see it as a challenge.
Okay, one that I hope that you can overcome in the near future, or maybe if not under your leadership, under the next president.
Right.
And outside of the voter education campaign, what more can we expect from the GNYC?
Well, yes, as I mentioned, we operate on the 4 pillars, and so we don't divert from that. So you'll see us having consultations with youth on issues, whether it's on the decriminalization of marijuana.
Topical.
Yes, we try to, whatever issues is out there that maybe from our UN partners, Caribbean partners, because we're affiliates of the Caribbean Regional Youth Council and the Commonwealth Youth Council. Okay. So whatever issue they require feedback on, we discuss it with our membership, we discuss it with our young people to get their feedback. So look out for our consultations, look out for any events that are youth-centered, youth-focused, youth-serving, and please come on board. We have another challenge in these days, if I'm to tell you, is that young people don't see the importance of volunteering, importance of giving their time for free. Everybody wants to know what's in it for me. Is it money? Is it? But we have to encourage young people that volunteering is still good. It helps to build you as an individual. You be rounded as an individual. You have exposure. I am what I am today, partly because of volunteerism. And I wouldn't be so comfortable speaking with you instead of being like a nervous wreck. It wasn't from my younger days in volunteerism and being exposed to the media and so on. So it has its pluses, and we want to make this pitch, make this call to young people to volunteer your time, and you develop yourself as a person.
Yeah, it's not just developing yourself, but you develop the country as well, because you're helping other young people also.
Okay. And my final question to you, we know that you have other plans, as you would have just mentioned, but the thing on the agenda right now is the Ink It Up campaign. So what would be your message to young people as you're preparing to head out there to show them the voting process, the do's and the don'ts, etc.? What would be your message to young people as well as the general population? As you mentioned, it's not just young people, but what would be your general message to everyone?
So my message would be follow us on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Learn more about your rights and responsibilities in the electoral process, and in the end, vote on March 2 for the party of your choice. It's your choice, so vote.
Yeah, and I would echo the same sentiments too, because Dr. Grant, GNYC, the project team, it's all one. I know there's just a distinction in terms of name, but I see the group as a team. Even though our functions might vary a little.
Okay, thank you very much for being on our program here today, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Vantage Point, and please join us again tomorrow for
Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, super Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive! Are you planning a trip for business or leisure and looking for the most direct and economic offers, but you're confused? And instead of heading to the internet and searching websites for best deals, you simply need to contact the travel professionals at Munishwar Travel Service, 45 Water Street, Georgetown. Their well-trained travel advisors with years of experience will assist you in booking your flights, accessing all airlines, hotels, car rentals at the most competitive prices to match your budget. Their customer service is second to none. Their qualified travel consultants will make you dream of seeing the world and ensuring your trip be the perfect one. A travel experience beyond your expectations. They'll give you the best value to save time and money. Provide 24-hour service to fix problems if things go wrong during your trip. Giving you options you haven't considered if you haven't decided where you want to go. Arrange group travel. Accepting all major credit cards, both local and overseas. Daily deals available, which are also available online. So call, visit, or email them to have the experience of their immaculate service. Munishwar Travel Service, 45 Water Street, Georgetown. 592-227-6992 or 225-2947 or drop us an email munishwartravel@yahoo.com.
The voting process. Once you have been identified as the elector you claim to be, you would be given a ballot paper that is stamped at the back, top and bottom halves in your presence. On the ballot paper, provision is made for you to vote twice. Once at the top section where you vote for the party of your choice in the general election, and once at the bottom section where you vote for the party of your choice in the regional election. Make your mark in the box provided on the right of your choice. After you have voted, fold the ballot paper as shown by the election official. Dip the first joint of your right index finger in the ink provided and place the ballot paper in the ballot box that is there for this purpose.